Tali Nates, a daughter of a Holocaust survivor saved by Oskar Schindler, is the founder and executive director of the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center. Using the lessons of the Holocaust, Tali's museum teaches tolerance, acceptance, and mutual respect all across Africa. On one of our first journeys to Poland with the March of the Living, Tali was our educator, our guide, and our inspirational teacher. We are pleased to welcome Tali to share special thoughts and experiences with us tonight.
Hello everyone, my name is Mdunduli and I'm an education officer at the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center in South Africa. And I'm here with Tali Nates, who is the executive director and founder of the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center. Tali, you've built an amazing museum and exhibition, and it is housed in this award-winning building. However, there's a family history between you and the Holocaust. Can you give us a brief history of the connections between the Holocaust and your family and its influence on you building this center?
It is a lifelong project that took about 12 or 13 years to build. It was a legacy project for me as the founder of the center, and I'm proud that it is an award-winning museum, memory, education, dialogue, and lessons for humanity project. This legacy was in memory of my father, because I was born to a family of Holocaust survivors. Both my parents came from Poland. My father was a survivor of 4 concentration camps. He owed his life to Oskar Schindler. My father and my uncle, Moses and Henrik Turner, were part of Schindler's List. I learned from my father that people have choices. We all have choices. Oskar Schindler was a German. He belonged to the Nazi Party. He started as a perpetrator, but moved to rescue 1,200 people. And in a way, I'm alive because of a German, because of a Nazi, and I'm doing this work in memory and in honor of my father and my uncle who survived, but my grandmother, Leah Turner, and my 2 aunts, Tsila and Hella Turner, who did not. They all were murdered at the Belzec death camp in August of 1942. So this work is extremely important for me, personally, but it's also important for me for our country, South Africa, for our continent, Africa, and indeed for the world. Our center and our foundation work very closely with Aegis Trust and with the Kigali Genocide Memorial since 2017. One of our best friends is Freddie Mutangua, the director of Aegis Trust, Rwanda. And with him and his team and our team, we created the Change Makers program. This is a youth leadership program that was launched thinking about what can we learn from history? How can we prevent violent extremism in our continent? How can we find African solutions for African problems? We gathered together at the Salzburg Global Seminar in the end of 2016. We put our minds together, South Africa and Rwanda, and we thought, how can we learn from our history, history of apartheid, history of the genocide in Rwanda, but also my personal history, the history of the Holocaust. As I explained, my father was a Holocaust survivor, and I grew up with that history. So how do we put all those history of suffering, of genocide, and learn from those histories about ourselves, our roles as role models? How can we preserve and safeguard democracy? How do we keep values, positive values of leadership? How do we learn from leaders in Africa about finding solutions of resilience, of hope, of finding peaceful solutions, of making the right choices? And we launched this program, the Changemakers program, in 2017. The program was launched in South Africa with a pilot program and in Rwanda. And it was evaluated by the University of Pretoria. And we saw that it is effective. It is making changes. The youth, 15 to 25 years old, are reflecting on their roles as leaders. They come out to their communities, they implement projects in their communities, and they become role models for change. One specific highlight was, for me personally, spending more than 2 weeks in Nigeria. We moved from Abuja, the capital city, to Yola in the northeast of the country. That is in Adamawa state, where the first kidnapping took place by Boko Haram of the Chibok girls. And we had the honor and privilege to work with 121 of those girls or young women that were released from Boko Haram captivity. We had our Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center exhibition on display. It is telling the story of genocide, of South Africa and apartheid, about the Holocaust, about choices in the Holocaust, about the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. And the girls learned how to guide this exhibition, and they could use their own personal traumatic histories, but heal those memories through understanding that trauma and resilience many times walk hand in hand, that what they went through can teach many others about how to overcome their trauma, how to shine a light, and how to give strength to people, girls and boys, that are going through difficult situations.